Can you imagine a train that doesn't just take you on a ride, but leads you straight into the jaws of death? 4 friends, 1 train, and a journey from which only one will return. Do you have the courage to face this deadly adventure? As the cold October wind howled through the empty streets, 4 friends stood outside the abandoned amusement park. A creaky sign above the gate read, "The House of Horrors, Train Ride to Hell." "Are we really doing this?" Sarah asked, her breath visible in the freezing air. "Why not? It's just a stupid old ride, right?" Jake replied, trying to mask his nervousness. They had heard rumors, stories of people entering but never returning. But that was just urban legend, wasn't it? The friends had received an invitation to this exclusive ride, an experience offered only once a year at midnight. No one knew who ran it, but the allure of the forbidden had drawn them here. As they stepped closer, the gate screeched open on its own. Inside, the train waited, a rusting old relic of the past. Its metallic frame was covered in cobwebs, and the train cars rocked eerily, as if alive. A conductor, his face obscured by shadows, motioned them to board. His smile revealed rotten teeth. "All aboard, for the ride of your lives," he croaked, his voice sending shivers down their spines. Once they were seated, the train jerked to life, the wheels screeching against the rails, echoing through the dimly lit tunnel. The air smelled of dampness and decay, as if something long dead lurked within the walls. Sarah grabbed onto Jake's arm, her heart pounding faster with each clatter of the tracks beneath them. The tunnel opened into the first room. The lights flickered, revealing grotesque mannequins dressed as bloodied victims. At first, the friends laughed nervously, just cheap thrills. But then the mannequins' heads started turning slowly towards them, their dead eyes following their every move. "What the hell?" Mark muttered. Suddenly, the mannequins' eyes blinked, real eyes, staring straight into their souls. One by one, they began whispering their names. Sarah, Jake, Mark, Anna. The laughter died. The train lurched forward, taking them deeper into the House of Horrors. The tunnel narrowed, the walls seeming to close in, as if the ride itself were swallowing them whole. The air grew heavy, suffocating. The next chamber was filled with mirrors. Thousands of reflections bounced back at them from every angle. But something was wrong. Some of the reflections weren't theirs. Instead, ghostly figures loomed behind them in the glass, their faces twisted in agony, mouths wide open in silent screams. "Do you see that?" Anna whispered, her voice shaking. Suddenly the lights flickered, and the ghostly figures were gone, replaced by something much worse. The friends' own reflections began to distort, their faces stretching and contorting until they no longer resembled themselves. Mark reached out to touch the glass, only to feel a cold hand grasp his wrist from the other side. He screamed as the mirror cracked and shattered, the glass falling around them like rain. The train stopped abruptly in the final room, where a massive door stood before them. Carved into the wood was a single word: judgment. "I don't like this. We need to get out," Jake said, his voice trembling. The door creaked open, revealing an old courtroom with a decayed judge sitting behind a massive wooden desk. He smiled, a twisted, unnatural grin. "You've come so far, but only one of you may leave." "What do you mean?" Sarah asked, backing away. The judge raised a bony finger. "Only one of you was invited. The others are merely collateral." The friends stared at each other, fear taking hold as they realized the horrifying truth. The train ride wasn't just a haunted attraction. It was a test, and the price for failing was death. You have until the clock strikes 12 to decide who stays and who escapes, the judge said, his hollow eyes glowing with malice. The friends turned on each other, desperation creeping in. Accusations flew, panic rising with every tick of the clock. But just as the clock struck midnight, the train roared to life again, the ground beneath them shaking violently. The judge cackled, and the room began to collapse around them. In a final desperate act, Sarah shoved Jake towards the door, screaming, "Go! Save yourself!" But as Jake stumbled through the exit, the train screeched to a halt. The park was silent. Jake stood alone in the cold night air, the gate to the House of Horrors now locked behind him. He turned around, breathless, expecting to see his friends. But there was nothing. Only a small, black card in his pocket with the words, "You survived." But they never left. The train's whistle echoed in the distance, a reminder that some journeys never terminate. Weeks later, Jake returned to the amusement park, drawn back by the nightmares that haunted him every night. But the House of Horrors was gone. In its place stood a barren lot, overgrown with weeds. There was no train, no judge, no friends, just silence. And somewhere in the distance, he could still hear the faint whistle of the midnight train to nowhere, calling for its next passengers. If Midnight Train gave you chills, then the story of Yakshi will plunge you even deeper into fear. Discover how this ancient demonic spirit destroys lives. Don't miss out on Yakshi. Do you dare to uncover this terrifying mystery?